welcome back to the Student Lounge, guys. My name is Jeremy Fink.
And I'm Chloe Kemp. Today we are going on the road to meet up with an SRU for lifer.
That's right. This special guest is someone who was raised by SRU alumni, went to Slippery Rock herself, and now even has a child who goes to school here. She also happens to be my mother. But before we do that, we have the pleasure of interviewing someone from the Global and Community Engagement, Sam Heikinen.
Before we really get into it, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me and Jeremy. So now, let's dive into some current events around the world.
I always say current events from around the world, but I don't actually think we've actually ever covered anything that was like not in the East Coast of the United States, which is kind of crazy. But first current event, here we go. Wicked, the movie, it's released some toys, and a Wicked toy packaging shares a link to an adult website instead of the film's website, which was wild. I know we had seen that. Someone from one of our classes had actually shown us that info, and that seems very intentional from someone with a dark, twisted mind.
Yeah, how do you how do you
mess up that bad?
How do you get that wrong? That seems, I don't know. And
you're telling me no one was there to like review?
One double-checked that?
You know what I mean? Like
how did they not like check like. Just type it in.
The Sexiest Man Alive election results will be happening this week, so I'm curious, who will it be? We've got Robert Pattinson. He's always a very good, very well-established in this kind of field. I think Glenn Powell, I mean, come on. Who doesn't like Glenn Powell? We have Jeremy Allen White, of course, and Cillian Murphy. Maybe Killian Murphy.
I think you're right, it's Cillian.
Cillian Murphy. So out of those four that I just listed right now, do you think any of those have a chance, or do you think maybe it's someone else I have not listed?
You know, my gut instinct is telling me Glenn Powell.
That's interesting. That's
who I would choose.
That's probably who it's going to be. I think that I would probably want Robert Pattinson. I just think he's had a pretty good couple years.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just, I don't know.
It's just not it for you.
He's an odd guy.
Yeah.
How old is he at this point, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably like...
No hate to him.
No hate, but probably like 30s?
I think he might be older than that.
Really?
I think so.
Okay, interesting. We'll have to look. I'll have to double check that. Maybe put it in the video later.
Not a fan of Twilight.
You're not? I mean, obviously. You just said no to. Look at that. We got a producer here saying 38 years old.
38 years of age on Robert Pattinson right there.
Wow.
That is big. I didn't even realize that.
I didn't even realize that either. Last week, 43 monkeys escaped a South Carolina research facility, which, in my opinion, that's terrifying. Since then, only 25 have been found and brought back to the lab, which means, if my math is correct here, that there's still, 18 left? 18 monkeys left?
That is more than enough.
That's just on the streets.
That is too many. Where are they going? What are they doing?
Probably plotting their next move.
What do you do if you see one? Do you call the police?
I mean, unless he's chill, unless he's gonna let you dress him up.
See, but I don't know. Are you a fan of like pet monkeys?
I mean, no, but like I wouldn't have him as a pet. I'd just dress him up in some cool clothes and like set him free. You know, might get cold.
You might get a little cold. They do have fur.
Maybe the lab did something to them. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're shaved in some places.
We
don't know what they look like. Yeah.
Yeah, not a fan. That is probably the scariest animal. I will say.
No, seriously. Well, guys, that will wrap it up for current events. Up next, we go to Sam Heikinen of the Global and Community Engagement Office. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I know. Wait, just stand down. Look at that. It's so sad.
Hello and welcome back to the Student Lounge. We are here with Sam Heikinen of the Global Engagement Office. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
How you doing, Sam? It's good to see you.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, you, Sam Heikinen, PhD, you work as the Associate Provost for the Global Engagement Community here at Slippery Rock University. Now, I know that we had been trying to get you on for just a little bit. We're very happy to have you on, and I wanted to know, first question right off the bat. So you definitely wear a lot of hats in this position, right? You get the chance to travel to a lot of different cool countries, have a lot of cool experiences. And I just wanted to ask you real quick, what position do you feel was the most rewarding for you?
In my entire career? I started off as an English teacher at a little university in Northeast China. That was from 2000 to 2005. That was wonderful. It set the trajectory for the rest of my life. It was also one of the hardest times in my life. Yeah. You know, I had to learn Chinese. I had to figure out a new culture. But it also set the trajectory for my whole life. I mean, everything I wanted to do in my career, everything else just kind of came from that. So that was great. Also, just getting the chance to see how people think in different ways and getting to experience different things, it's always a privilege. you know, to
Yeah.
get to be in someone else's culture and experience things. So.
That was really cool. Did you have to learn like a specific dialect of Chinese? Just
I learned Northeast Chinese Mandarin, so it's more the national language of China, but also a little bit of an R sound to things. So
Yeah.
typically Chinese, if they hear me speak, they can tell where I was.
That's cool.
Gotcha.
And you have to write everything too. You
Yeah.
have to learn how to like write.
I can only do some characters. I can read street signs, maybe some restaurants, things like that. But I learned basically just by listening and speaking. And
That was the main way.
That was
No
the way I did it. I
Duolingo.
never took classes, so that was
Wow.
throw me in the fire and make me
Yeah.
have to learn on the spot,
Yeah.
and learn to be okay with being embarrassed and making a
course.
lot of mistakes,
Course.
which has served me my entire life because I make mistakes every day. So
Yeah.
it's a good skill to have.
Being comfortable with mistakes, that is a good
Yeah.
skill to have, definitely.
That's awesome.
I had another quick question. So we talked a little bit off camera. You've been to around 40 countries.
Correct.
So what was the best country you've ever been to? Just like in general, if you had to sum it up, this was the greatest experience I had. And then what's one of the more fun stories from that country?
I love every country, so I can't say that I've had one that I really didn't like being at. I think Democratic Republic of the Congo was the one that stays in my mind the most. I was there for 5 days. I stayed on the estate of His Excellency Olumide Munde, who was the Minister of Communications at that
Yeah.
time. I had his son at my university, and that was near life-changing. It was just such an interesting time, and it was a time I'll never forget. So that's all I can think of. In terms of food, I tend to rate countries this way a lot. You know, I love Indian food, Mexican food, Chinese food. So I kind of think of things from a culinary perspective, a cultural perspective, what was interesting to see. So I can't say I have one favorite, but there's always something to learn wherever you go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then this is kind of the hard hitter right here. We're going to
Okay.
end with this question. No time limit on this, just so you know. It's take as long as you need. So we have students at Slippery Rock who are studying abroad. We have
Yes.
students in Slippery Rock who this is their first time in the United States.
Yes.
So the big question is, what advice do you have for those people who are experiencing a completely different culture right now? And they might feel a little out of their element. They might feel a little lonely. Do you have any advice for students who this is their first time doing anything like this?
The first piece of advice I'd give is that they should come to the Office for Global Engagement before they go, if they're going to study abroad. Talk with a student who's been abroad before, and maybe meet an international student who's from that target country, because that's a really good way to kind of start to feel calm.
Yeah.
When I first went to China, I had never been there. I knew nothing about the culture or the country other than maybe what I'd studied in school. So we call it culture shock. And it is a very real thing. And it's good to study culture shock. You know, it comes in waves. It goes for a very big high, a very big low, a smaller high, a smaller low, and then you kind of reach an equilibrium. So if you're prepared mentally to know that, hey, this is going to be really hard, and I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to feel like a fool sometimes, that's okay, because you make mistakes and you learn from them, and it builds resiliency. And you can have a sense of humor about these things. You can remember times that you really felt out of place and people laughed, but later on it was a good time.
It's kind of like what you were saying earlier. Be comfortable with just messing up sometimes. Just be comfortable with being able to look back and be like, you know what, that was a mistake, but we've learned from that mistake. And here we are, we're better for it. And, we can just feel comfortable in uncomfortability in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do the scary thing even when you're scared to do it. And
awesome.
the more you do those things, I think it makes you a braver person. It makes you more comfortable with yourself, and it makes it easier to make friends, makes it easier to understand other people. And I think it brings you a greater sense of happiness.
Yeah. Well, did you have any final notes for the viewers of the Student Lounge right now?
I hope everyone comes to the Office for Global Engagement and talks to someone about study abroad. Make sure you do that before you leave this university. I cannot overstate how important that is. And there is research out there that says students who study abroad do better in their careers, do better financially, and I think really the big part of that is that they do better with life. They become happier people, and they want to explore more even after college.
Yeah, awesome. Folks, that was Sam Heikinen for you. Sam, thank you.
Thank you
so
very much
for coming on.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Folks, up next, we just talked a little bit about people who are branching out, experiencing new cultures, but what about the Slippery Rock culture here at home? We have someone who has lived through eras of Slippery Rock. That's my mom. We're going to get to her right now after this.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Yeah, you just did that. Look at that. It's so sad.
Hey guys, we are back. Right now we are going to Jennifer Fink for input on the changes that Slippery Rock University has gone through throughout the ages.
Welcome back to the Student Lounge. It's me, Jeremy, and I'm here as promised with my mother. This is Jennifer Fink. Mom, how are you doing?
Doing great.
That's awesome. It's good to have you on. I was just talking to you off camera, and we don't really get to see each other that much. So this right now, just to be able to be here with you, even though it's for the Student Lounge, it's really nice, and I'm excited to be here with you.
Thanks for coming home.
I want to start off this with a quick segment I call Flat or Fiction. Okay, so
Flat
with
or
this
fiction.
segment,
Okay.
I'm going to name you, this is either a real life apartment complex in the Slippery Rock University area or something I made up.
Okay.
First one, North Rock. Are there North Rock apartments? Is that real or fake?
North Rock Apartments. There's Rock Apartments, I know. North Rock. I'll say they're real.
No, they're actually incorrect.
Okay. I thought maybe they were North. Those are Rock Apartments.
Yeah, there's actually one called South Rock, and so I was kind
Okay,
of trying to
okay.
trick you with that one.
All right. Well, you did. You did a good job.
How about the Ivy?
Yes.
Yes, the Ivy is real.
Yes.
Cooper Street Apartments.
Cooper Street Apartments.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard of that. The look on your face says they're real, but now I don't know. They're real.
That is correct. The
Okay.
Cooper Street Apartments are real. Campus Side.
No.
Campus Side is real.
None of these places existed when I was there.
And then
Okay.
how about one last one, Stone Edge, the Stone Edge apartment complex.
No.
That is not real.
Okay.
You did pretty well. I'd say maybe 50-50
Maybe. Okay.
for that. But yeah, awesome. Thanks again
Yeah.
for coming on.
Yeah.
Uh,
The apartments when I were there were totally different.
what apartment complex were you at?
I lived in Martha Rose.
Mm.
I was in the dorms most of the time, but I lived in Martha Rose, and then I lived.
I don't think we have that anymore. Martha Rose?
It's up there. I don't think it's called that anymore, but it's,
Really?
it's-
Okay.
If you go behind Old Main up into the neighborhood up there, and then I forget what road it is. You turn right, and there's like some apartments up there. There's like three,
yeah. Okay.
up there. And
I'll
then,
look it up. Maybe it is called Martha Rose. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
And then Keister was the place you wanted to stay away from. Keister Apartments. That's where all the
Gotcha.
bad parties were.
Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha. All right. Well, what do you say we dive into some questions?
Okay.
First question for you. When was the last time you were on campus?
I don't think we've been there this semester.
I don't think so either.
I think we met you up in Grove City, but I think I was on campus last spring.
Okay. Did you notice any big changes the last time you were there? Was there anything you picked up on?
Well, since you've been going there, this is your 4th year, it is very different from when I was there. Very, very different. My, the one dorm I stayed in is now a parking lot. So the
Wow.
parking lot next to Abersold
Yeah.
was Harner Hall. That was.
Are you talking about the
the one between
the
It's
student
like
center?
behind Vincent,
Yeah.
behind the physical therapy building, which wasn't there. That parking lot.
The student center, the one with Quaker and Starbucks in it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're looking at that building, the one to the left.
Gotcha.
That parking lot.
Okay. Wow.
So that was my dorm,
Wow.
and that where the student center is now was another dorm.
Mhm.
But that whole hillside was just a row of like 4 different dorms.
Wow.
That's where all
Yeah.
the dorms were.
And now there's like none.
Yeah, because they're all where all the dorms are now. That
Right.
was just big open field. Like
Okay.
the end of the campus was where the
So
music building
It's growing.
and the union are.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the back end of campus. After that, it was just athletic fields.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
That's pretty
it's really
crazy.
different.
That's pretty
yeah,
crazy.
and the theater is completely different.
Mhm.
Miller Auditorium is totally different.
Well, speaking of your experience there as a student, what were some of the memories that you might have made?
I would say most of my memories either had to do with Miller Auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
I started as a theater major before I changed my major, or with Terry, who I met on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Your husband.
Yeah, my first husband I met on campus.
It's really
so,
sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you are a teacher. You teach at Pine
Yes.
Richland School District.
Yes.
You love your job. That's
Love
one
my
thing I've
job.
taken away about my mom. She loves her job as a teacher.
I do love my job.
But within the context of this interview, how do you as a teacher how do you prepare your high school students for secondary education, like going to Slippery Rock University?
Well, in recent years, I've been teaching AP Literature and Composition, which is a senior course.
Sure.
So by teaching an AP Lit course, like 99.9% of my students are going to college, so they have that in common, as opposed to a class that's mixed with maybe kids going to technical school or military or straight to the workforce. So it's easier to kind of unite the group around this process of going through the application process. And the senior year, as you know, is a big thing for that. And so, you know, we start the year off looking at college essays. We look at, you know, how our writing is and preparing that for college level. And when I teach my classes, the first 9 weeks is very much like a high school class, but throughout the course, by the time we get to the fourth 9 weeks, I try to run it as much like a college class as possible.
Sure.
So there are far fewer
It's a
grades.
smooth transition.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. They're used to counting points and getting every single
Right.
worksheet turned in.
And now
so
it's like,
the second semester, it's getting used to doing the work to prepare you for the bigger project,
Sure.
but not getting credit for all the studying and things that you do.
Sure. Excellent. And then I just have one last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
To our viewers out there, these are Slippery Rock students who go there now.
Yes.
What advice do you have for them, either as a teacher or as an ex-student or as someone who was raised by people who went there? Do you have any
Yes.
advice for any of the students who go there now?
I would say the biggest mistake I think a lot of people make is thinking that they have to have everything planned out and they have to know what's coming next. Because even when you know or think you know what's coming next, life's going to throw you curveballs. And so it's better to just always have a plan. I've told you that. Always have a plan. You can change your plan 100 times.
Sure.
But you should have a plan. But don't be so
Like set.
so set
Yeah.
in that plan that if it doesn't work out, it's going to crush your spirit, because there are so many things that can happen in life, whether it's in your career or in school or something else, that you need to be ready for that, but not obsess over it, and really kind of take each day at a time. And I worked a lot and didn't play enough, but I had friends who played too much
Gotcha.
and didn't work enough.
Gotcha.
And that continues into your adulthood. You need to find that balance, both so that you don't run out of gas when you're working and you just go flat, or that you don't get the work done that you need to. Because the number one thing is your mental health, and that balance is going to help you with your mental health. Because if you don't have a good handle on your mental health, then you're not going to be successful in your job, your relationships, your hobbies, anything. So keeping in mind that balance is really important.
That's awesome. I think a lot of people need to hear that, because there are so many students out there who think that it's too late for them. You know,
Oh
and
my gosh.
you need to, like, I think it's important to realize that
Yeah.
nothing's set in stone.
Oh, like,
know?
I never thought I'd be where I am now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because I'm in school too. So
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I
That's
never
cool.
thought.
Don't tell them
I'd-
where. Don't tell them where
I
you go.
won't tell them where, but but no, I got my bachelor's and my master's at Slippery Rock, but
Yeah.
that they didn't offer the program I wanted, so I had to go elsewhere. But I never thought I'd be over the age of 50 going back to college.
Yeah.
You know, that was not in my plan, you know, so you just don't know what
Right.
opportunities are going to come your way. Thanks for carrying on the family legacy.
Hey, anytime. Anytime. Folks, thank you so much. This was my mother, Jennifer Fink. Please give her a warm round of applause. Up next, Chloe and I will be doing a heartfelt goodbye segment.
Big shout out to my mama for that. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys did too. Right now, we're going to roll into some final thoughts for the Student Lounge with a segment I like to call We Appreciate Everything.
Let's get into it. What do we got to say?
We appreciate Slippery Rock Tap Water for keeping us all humble.
I agree. We appreciate the clock tower of Old Main for letting us know what time it is sometimes.
We appreciate the Girl Scouts of America for all the hard work you guys are doing out there, Crumble cookie has nothing on you.
Not a thing at all. Guys, we appreciate Kentucky Fried Chicken for letting us know that you can put 11 herbs and spices in a chicken seasoning, but still need 2 dipping sauces for taste.
And we appreciate the New York Giants for showing us that you don't need to be good to play professional football.
Oh, zinger. And on a real note, we appreciate you, the viewer, for supporting this channel and your school's TV club. It really does not go unnoticed, and we would never have the drive and motivation it takes to pull something off like this without you. So thank you.
Thank you guys. This has been the Student Lounge. Good night.